you ask the questions in the right way, you build rapport within a minute and a half, you just have it. It's sort of bestowed upon the person that you're talking to. I'll let them talk for a minute and a half, and then I gotta move it over because they've sold themselves on having a conversation with me.
So, Matt, you did 531,000 last year.
Yes.
Personally. You did that all on the phone.
I did that all on the phone.
Telesales.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're back. You did telesales prior to working here. Then you came here and you did virtual sales. Right. Then you went out in the field. And then you're back to telesales.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite the journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Which of all the ways to sell, virtual, telesales, in-home, which one do you like the most?
I really liked the in-home.
Okay.
The stamina that it took to produce at a high level in-home was...
Oh, it's a grind.
Yeah, it was a grind. It was exhausting.
Yeah.
I probably put in as many hours phone sales.
Yeah.
But it's not that much of a grind.
Right.
You know? I mean,
So you put in the same amount of hours pretty much that you were in your first few years here.
Right.
And, I mean, let's just look at 2022. You did 435,000.
Right.
You were in home then?
I was, I think I was.
For most of it?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah.
Okay. Last year, we already said 530. So you did 100K more on the phone.
Yeah.
And you'd say you worked about the same amount of hours?
Yeah, I would say that I did. I mean, obviously, the quality of life is better.
Yeah.
Because you can take a break, go have a cup of coffee with your wife. You can have lunch. You know, my wife works at home as well, and so it's a better work-life balance. I can say hi to my kids, I can have dinner, I can go and work more if I want to, right?
Yeah.
But usually I'm done by 6 because I'll start early and I'm done by 6.
Right.
You know.
Yep. Before we got on here, you talked a little bit about the rhythm of the close. You called it.
Right.
What does that mean?
So there's a way that I ask the health questions in order to have them give me a string of numbers that I want.
Okay.
Which is their social, their driver's license number, and their bank account number.
So you get that through the health questions.
Right. Yeah, I get that through the health questions, yeah.
At what point do you ask the health questions in your appointment?
So basically, right away.
Okay.
So my presentation is...
I'm sorry, you're doing one call close, setting appointments?
One call close. So
mostly vet leads?
I do call to close as well, but I do one call close mostly on appointments that are already set. And so... You know, the presentation is very simple. As I talked about, you know, Jack has helped me simplify everything. So my presentation is basically what this talks about is the Veterans Life Insurance. And, of course, the VA gives us a stipend and to provide a little bit for final expenses for the family.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Now, do you have any health issues, high blood pressure, diabetes? And then they go into the health questions, right? So just role play that with me.
Okay.
Do you have any health issues, high blood pressure, diabetes?
Yeah, I have high blood pressure.
Okay. You probably take lisinopril for that.
Yes.
Or something. Okay, great. And any other medications?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. And what medications were you taking that you've stopped taking in the last few years?
I used to take metformin for diabetes.
Oh, okay. When did you stop taking that?
About 3 years ago.
Okay, great. Now I know he has diabetes because that's going to be on the app and it's going to come up that way, right? So, okay. And then and what's your height and weight?
6'1", 260.
Okay. Any surgeries over the last 10 years?
Nope.
Okay. Any major, thank goodness, no heart attack, stroke, cancer, nothing like that over the last few years? Nope. Okay, perfect. So obviously this talks about the burial costs. Now, wait, what's your date of birth?
December 26, 85.
Oh, okay, perfect. So these plans are normally all whole life insurance, meaning that they never expire, the rates never go up, the coverage never decreases, and it builds a cash value. But you're young and healthy enough that you could possibly qualify for an IUL or a term policy for a higher amount of coverage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So based on what you're telling me, you should be able to get $100,000 or more in coverage. Now, do you have any other life insurance in place currently?
Nothing.
Okay, nothing. Okay, and you didn't have anything recently or anything like that?
Nope.
Okay. And who is your beneficiary?
My wife.
Okay. So I would imagine you want to make sure that your wife is taken care of if anything happens to you.
Correct.
You guys have like a mortgage or any other
Yeah,
obligations?
we have a mortgage.
Oh, okay. How much do you owe on that?
$250.
Okay, perfect. So if God forbid something happened to you, how easy would it be for your wife to pay that mortgage every month?
Should probably get a couple months, and then it would be very hard after that.
She'd be suffering.
Yeah, probably 2-3 months. Yeah.
Okay, so she's got about a 3-month cushion, and then she might have to either sell the house in a fire sale or move out of the house or
probably
or
sell
get a roommate or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So it'd just be a real hardship.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you just want to make sure that if anything happens to you, that the mortgage is taken care of and more. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. So based on what you're saying, you could do anywhere from from $250,000 to $500,000 in coverage.
Okay.
And if you did $250,000 on a 20-year term plan, it would be about $150 per month. If you did $300,000, it would be about $220 a month. If you did $500,000, it'd be about $400 a month. So which one of those would fit your needs and your budget?
Probably the $200 a month.
$200 a month?
Yeah.
Okay. So if that fits your needs and your budget, then all I can do is just ask you a few questions, submit the request to the carrier, and let's get you approved. Okay?
Cool.
Okay, perfect. So do you have a middle initial?
Yes, A.
Okay, great. And then what is your address?
10 Main Street.
Okay, perfect. So that's 10 Main Street in Uncasville, Connecticut. And what's the zip code?
06380.
Okay, 06380. Okay, perfect. I always repeat everything that they've said back to them, which creates confirmation bias.
Right.
And they think, oh, he's reading me information. I already read him. He has my information. Okay, great. And then who is your beneficiary?
My wife, Christina.
Okay, Christina.
Yep.
Same last name,
Yes.
Sizer?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And what's her date of birth?
9/10/85.
Okay, so Christina Sizer, 9/10/85.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, the way that the underwriting for these works is it's all electronic. They used to require blood tests and physicals and a nurse visit for these types of plans, but now they're all non-medical. So there's no blood tests or physicals. They just check your health history with your social, your driving record with your driver's license, and then they need to know how you're going to do the bank draft monthly. But it's all based on age and health as far as approval goes, and that's pretty much the process that they use for all the different insurance carriers now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as your health goes, in the last 10 years, have you had any heart attack, stent placement, congestive heart failure, atrial fibrillation, defibrillator machine, or pacemaker?
No.
Okay. No cancer or stroke?
Nope.
Okay. No kidney or liver disease?
Nope.
Okay. And then I got your date of birth as 10/5/1985.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then what's your social?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, perfect. And then any major driving infractions, felony DUI, anything like
Nope. I ran over a squirrel last week, but that was about it. Yeah.
Perfect. And then what's your driver's license number?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, perfect. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I didn't repeat the social, which I should have.
Right.
Okay, perfect. And then who is your doctor?
Dr. Jones.
Okay. And right in your city there?
Yes.
I'm Googling Dr. Jones in your city. Okay, so I got Dr. Jones at 123 Main Street in Uncasville, Connecticut. Is that the right one?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that's more confirmation bias. And when was your last checkup with him?
About a year ago.
Okay. Yeah. And he said everything was good?
Yeah, it was a physical. Everything was good. Yep.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Okay, great. And then and then as far as the bank draft goes, which bank do you want to use for the premium payment?
Charter Oak.
Okay, perfect. And what's the routing and account number?
1111467.
Yeah, perfect. So when I do it in that rhythm, it's almost like a call and response.
Yeah.
And I get to, I give them a string of numbers, which is their birthday, and they give me a string of numbers, which is their social.
Right.
And I never give them my credentials.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's my presentation. I haven't even given them my credentials in most instances.
Wow.
Now, I've had people that have balked. And
At what point in that process do they balk, typically, when they do?
Sometimes social.
Yeah.
Because they're like, wait, suddenly the spell is broken for some reason.
Yeah. Well, let's do that. So I go, well, what do you need my social for?
Well, obviously, the way they do the underwriting is they used to require blood tests and physicals and a nurse visit for this type of coverage. But now it's all non-medical. So they just use your social for the health background, your driver's license number for your driving record, and then they need to know how you're going to fund the policy monthly. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
How often at that point do they say, yeah, that makes sense, or do they push back more?
So I had one guy. This is the guy that called back while I was driving from Berkeley.
Okay.
And I said, okay, so obviously, I've been doing this forever. I'm going to email you out my credentials right now. And as I'm talking to him, I've got everything right on my thing, and I've got his email.
Yeah.
I say, here's my license. Here's all of the information about me. And then he's like, oh, okay, great. I got that. Okay, great. And then what's your social? No, I got to look into this. I'm like, really? Okay. So here is, and then I'm in, it's Philly, right? I'm like, Philadelphia Department of Insurance, agent lookup. Okay, let's put that, I cut and pasted it into the email. Okay, here's the actual place to look up the agent. And let me walk you through that right now. And he's like, I can't figure this out. He's literally 79 years old. And so I'm like, okay. He's like, I need to do this verification and I'll get back to you. And I'm like, that never happens, dude. You either get it now or you don't get it. And I'm like, so I pushed 3 more times. Like, look, we can at least do the health questions. And in order to do that, they do need your social. And he's like, I'm not going to give it to you. So I'm like, okay, great. Well, you've got all my information. I'm going to put you back on my calendar for this day at this time so that you can verify everything. And then we'll, finish up and see if we can get you approved then. Is that fair enough?
Yep.
4 times, though. I don't let them off the hook for 4. Yeah. I close 4 or 5 times, right? And this guy had obviously done a good enough job closing him that he called me back. And so I'm like, oh, so-and-so. Okay, great. And I think I had called him back one more time and got his social and all of that. And then I was like, you got the banking? He's like, oh, I don't have that. I'm like, come on. And so then he calls me back. And when he called me back, he gave me the banking. Either he hadn't given me anything else, but he was like, I want to move forward. I'm like, okay, great. What's your bank account? So I basically just went right to that right away. So I had that information. And then when I was able to get to my destination, I called him back and got his social and finished up the application and everything.
Yeah.
But those objections can be so confronting.
Absolutely.
And you want to let yourself off the hook.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I need to think about this. Let me call you back later. No.
Right.
And I don't say it that way. I say, well, the way the program works is if this fits your needs and your budget, and all I can do is just submit a request for coverage to the carrier, and then you can speak to your wife. It takes 5 or 6 days to get approved, and that way we can make sure that you actually get approved. Does that make sense? Right. Okay, that makes sense. I could do that.
Yeah.
Now you're into the app,
right? And
you're getting momentum, and then a lot of times with that close, they will balk at the banking.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You say, well, obviously, I wish I could submit this, but most carriers require a complete application. And as I said at the beginning of the call, we just need your social security number to look up your health background, your driver's license number to look up your driving record, and then they need to know how the policy is going to be funded.
Yeah.
It used to be that we could submit policies without that. But now these insurance carriers get so many policies that they don't even allow us to submit it without a complete application because they want to make sure somebody is actually serious about this.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's huge because one of the most important parts about selling insurance is the quality of business, right? It doesn't stay. We talked about it when we were doing your True Talk. Why can they pay 140% comp? Well, because the policy is going to stick for years, or it should.
Right.
So the whole, we'll see if you're eligible thing, that's not the close. That's like to get to the app.
Right.
We've lived it. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years.
Right.
Early on, we did it the wrong way, Matt. We were like, we're just getting you eligible. You're not bound to anything.
Right. Yeah.
And then they all cancel.
Right.
So it's like it's a 2-part. You want to do that, but you also want to make sure, hey, Matt, if this comes back exactly the way we applied for it, $80 a month, whatever it was, is there any reason you wouldn't keep it?
Right.
Like what? And you have to do both.
Right. And Andrew Taylor said something really great because he was talking about that same dynamic.
Yeah.
Like everybody's canceling, because he would say, well, you got a 30-day right to refusal.
Right.
He was closing with that, right?
Yeah, that's not a close.
And so everybody was refusing, right?
Yep.
And he said, somebody gave him advice because, nothing we do in this industry is original.
No.
It's all plagiarism.
Right.
We all take from what works for somebody else and it works for us because it works. And he said, yeah, of course, you do have 30 days, but obviously you'd be crazy not to keep this.
Right.
Because it's protecting your family, right? Wouldn't that be crazy to abandon your family when they need it most?
Right.
Right? and then let them close themselves on that again by telling you how crazy it would be.
Yeah.
Right? That simple statement has helped retention.
Absolutely.
You know? So, yeah, it's all
I had a guy, so my son is buying his first car. Actually, when we're done here, I'm bringing him to pick it up. Right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and he put most of the money away himself. I helped him out a little bit. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're test driving last week, and we test drove this Jeep. He drove it. Now, he's probably driven 2 cars in his life, my wife's, right?
Right.
So he's like, it feels good. I'm like, let me test drive it. So we're going on the highway. So I'm like flooring it, checking out. Right. And the thing is pulling to the right like crazy. Not like only when you're giving it gas. So I'm like, this ain't like an alignment thing.
Right.
I'm no mechanic. So, and the sales guy's a new guy, you can tell. And he's like, well, what do you think it is? I'm like, bro, first of all, I'm not selling the car.
Right.
And I'm not a mechanic.
Right.
What I do know, I won't say what I said there, but I'm like, I know it's effed up.
Right.
I know a car ain't supposed to do that.
Right.
So I'm like, we're good, dude.
Right.
So we get back, and then he almost like tries one of ours. Like, so let me ask you this: if the car wasn't pulling to the right, would you take it today? I'm like, I said, bro, what kind of question is that? Yeah. What are you gonna go fix it right now? I'm like, no, we're good. There's like 8 dealerships on this strip. Right. We're all set.
Right.
But it's like it's just funny. I'm like, now you try to take one of our tools, but you didn't use it right.
Right.
But that is so key because, like you said, you can easily go down that route. You can get people to sign up.
Right.
But if you close with you're not tied in, Matt. You can cancel. You get 30-day free look. How that works? You just call the carrier, cancel it.
Right.
Oh, yeah. You're going to end up with bad placement, bad persistency. And you do that enough, the carriers go, hey, Matt, you can't sell with us anymore.
Right.
You're terminated,
exactly.
right?
Yep.
But you still got your license. You just can't sell our products.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and so it's really important to do the follow-up as well because if I've ever had an iffy sale, I'm going to call them and or even if I know they got approved on the spot. And say, okay, well, we don't know for sure if you're going to get approved. I'll call you within 48 hours to let you know if you get approved or not. And then I call them back. I'm like, hey, congratulations. You actually got approved, right? Oh, my gosh. And then, obviously the premium's going to come out in the next couple of days. Oh, wait, I need it to be low.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me call the carrier and change it to when they want it to be. And then I'm going to call them back again before the policy drafts and say, hey, you got your policy in the mail. So I'm trying to do 4 or 5 touch points on especially the ones that were a little bit iffy because I let iffy sales go through. It's a sale,
sure,
and you try to solidify it at the end of it. But if they don't sound completely committal, then I'm following up 5 or 6 touch points to make sure that I've really solidified that sale. Yeah, because that's I don't want to charge back.
No, and I mean. On average, you're going to lose 30%. Right. Like, that's a good agent, right? So, you're going to lose some, but if you're in that 40, 50, 60, that's when you get into, first of all, you're costing the carrier money. They don't like that.
Yeah, and you don't have profitability.
No, now you're costing yourself money, too.
Right, yeah.
Because every policy that is paid, it's like, you need to look at it as a loan.
Right, yeah.
It ain't free money. It's a loan.
It's a 1-year loan.
Yeah.
And it's contingent upon my ability to perform for that client and to make them feel like they need this policy and they want to keep it.
Yeah. Going back to what we started with, the rhythm of the close, like your cadence and the way you're asking. I know we're role playing, but I'm like almost giving you my real imp because it feels like I feel like I'm supposed to answer.
There's an urgency.
Yeah.
There. Right. Exactly.
It feels natural.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I ask the questions in this rapid fire way, so they're like yes. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, what's next? They're they're like in on the game. Yeah. Right.
It doesn't sound like sale. Like when that card was like, if I felt like he was reading a note card. So if it was just like this, would you take it? Right. Come on.
Exactly.
But it sounds natural.
Right.
How long did it take for you to master that or get it to where it's at today?
Well, what's that Malcolm Gladwell book? Right.
Yeah. 10,000 hours.
Exactly. 10,000 hours. I don't know if it took me that long, but it was running, 1,000 appointments in the field and maybe sitting with 600 people.
I bet.
So then that confidence gets within you.
Right.
Every now and then you don't have it for some strange reason. You have to shake it off again.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wait a second, I do this like it's breathing. What's the issue?
Correct.
Why are you not closing right today? What's your deal, right?
Yep.
So everybody has that.
Oh, yeah.
But when you get it into your marrow, you ask the questions in the right way. You build rapport within a minute and a half. You just have it. It's like it's sort of bestowed upon the person that you're talking to.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting how quickly you can build rapport if you really
Absolutely
get good at this, you know?
Yeah, you know, when I first started, I was like at these sales trainings and like, you know, you build rapport for 5 to 7 minutes. Do this for, it was like time box and everything. And it didn't work.
No.
It did not work for me.
No, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I basically will say, you know, oh, you were in the Army. What years were you in?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Where were you stationed? Oh, excellent. Very good. What was your favorite duty station? Oh, nice. Excellent. Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
And what this talks about is the veterans life insurance. And of course,
right.
you know, so I'll let them talk for a minute and a half, right? Sure. But sometimes they really get into it, and then I gotta move it over because they've sold themselves on having a conversation with me.
Absolutely.
You know?
Then they become your friend.
Right.
And your friends can tell you no.
Right.
The hardest people to sell are your friends.
Right. Yeah. So I want to get them to a point where they're in the stream with me as in a conversation.
Yeah.
But also knowing that I'm here to perform a duty for them. Right.
And then if we're doing an application, there's a lot of dead time there for you to build your rapport.
Oh, yeah.
That was when I started building my rapport when I was filling out the application.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so you've been in this area long?
Yeah.
Oh, great. How many kids do you have? Right.
Yep.
Are they near you? Are they far? Yeah.
Because honestly, if we're not writing a policy, if I'm not helping your family say, I don't want to sit here for 30 minutes and talk to you about your life. No offense. I have other people that want help.
Yeah, and you want to try to give them a couple laughs and stuff like that as well. You know, if you can get friendly and have them, you know, have a humorous experience at times, then they're going to even be more bought into what you're doing. You know?
But I think you can do that throughout. You don't have to, let's time box it. Let me put on my comedic act for 5 minutes and it's not going to work.
No, that's not going to work at all. It's got to be, it does have to be natural.
Sure.
It has to have a definite intention and a definite flow.
Yeah.
But once you do it enough, I mean, all of my stuff is completely scripted.
Yeah.
It's like 100% memorized.
Right.
And literally, and I'm a guy that had to have that. Like when I started, all my appointments, I've still got the same coffee stained script, you know?
Yeah.
That I used setting appointments. Now I know it by heart now, but I didn't know it until I finally was like, oh, I forgot my script today. Oh my gosh. Like, oh, I got this. It's all here. Right. So repetition is the mother of skill.
Yeah.
Right.
And this business, I say this all the time here, comes down to two things: attitude, activity. Right. So you gotta have the work ethic, you gotta have the right attitude.
Right.
And that's so huge, especially now in this telesales world, right? Like face to face, I have a lot more leeway, right? I could start off the rails, bring it back, but you're on the phone. They can't see you.
Yeah.
You can't read their body language. You got to pick up on their tone.
Right.
And your tone has to be great.
It's all tonality.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
It reminds me of, so back, we dialed and went out. You lived this.
Yeah.
It reminds me, when I hear you guys talk about it, I've never done telesales, but it sounds so much like the phone script. The phone script was, I'm going to talk fast enough so that you can't get a word in, but slow enough so you understand me.
Right.
I'm going to sound slightly bothered or monotone, like I'm not going to be
like I'm
hey, Mr. Spalding. I'm like,
no.
Hey, is Matt there?
Exactly.
And or if I called you and then you answer the phone, I don't know it's you, but a male's voice, I just go, Matt?
Matthew. Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, it's Matt. Who's this? Oh, it's Mike. What's up?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
And then just get into it.
And they get into it because it doesn't sound like a salesperson.
Right.
But if I'm calling and saying, hi, this is Matthew calling with family, click, what?
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's like, no, it's and that was sort of the first frontier.
Yeah.
Like if you can get good at that, then this is your business.
Right.
Because if you can't set an appointment, this is not your business.
Yeah.
You know?
The best analogy I heard early on that helped me understand, because I'm big on, don't tell me how to do it, tell me what you want done.
Right.
That's just the way my brain works. Like a lot of times while I work, Sean will start, hey, do this. I'm like, no, just what do you want to accomplish?
Right.
I want this guy to stop doing X, Y, and Z. I got you, bro.
Right.
Don't tell me how, just tell me the what.
I don't need to know how you do it.
Exactly.
Because
I probably do it differently. But as long as we get to the same goal.
I don't carry a sledgehammer everywhere.
Absolutely, yeah. But when he it was a doctor-patient analogy.
Right.
Like when I call my doctor, Matt, I don't pick the time to come in. I go, hey man, listen, I don't know, got a stiff neck. I'm feeling like I need to come in to see you. All right, we have a 2 o'clock today and a 9 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah, can I come in at 11 o'clock today? We have a 2 o'clock today, a 9 a.m. Which one you want to come in?
Right.
There's no negotiation. There's no
the alternate choice close.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
And you know what we do every single time? We go, yeah, I'll be there too.
Right. Yeah.
Because they have what we need.
Time available. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
I need to go. They don't need me to come in.
Right.
I need to go see my doctor.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when you're dealing with a client. They need insurance.
Yes.
And it starts with that mentality, knowing that I don't care if you're calling direct mail leads, internet leads, somebody called you. You're dealing with a client that out of the millions of people out there said, hey, I need some help with life insurance.
Right.
Because you could buy life insurance on your own.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't need to talk to you to buy life. I mean, Ethos has a link they can fill out. And even before there's other companies, you just call and get a policy. And
the harder you work, the luckier you get. Because I've had days where I've had 15, 20 appointments on the calendar and 2 shows and 2 no sales. Mm-hmm. And I've had days when I'm like, oh, my God, this is going to be a bad day. There's like 5 appointments, 6 appointments. Yep. And I get...
And you close them all.
It was like 4 people.
Right.
Everybody picked up the phone.
Yep.
Like, this was the easiest day ever.
Yep.
Right?
I'll never forget. I share this story a lot on here. I was probably 3, at least... no, I was probably about 6 months in. I was selling consistently already. Right. I was already full-time out of my job, and I was coming off some good weeks. Then I had a day of 10 appointments, like during the week. And like this was like, it was kind of normal to have 10 appointments on the weekends. But at this point, we were doing all mortgage protection. Right. But I'm like, I got 10 appointments on a Wednesday. This is awesome. Right. They all were there, Matt. You know how many I helped? 0. Oh, my God. And I'm months in, but I'm like, what am I doing? Today? Yeah. But it just wasn't right. Yeah. I was probably too confident. Right. And then when you get too confident, you start skipping small steps. Right. Right. Yep. Like, I don't really need to do the rapport. I really don't need to connect much. I'm just good. Right. Right. Over 10, bro. I called Sean after every appointment. After like the 4th one, he's like, you closed something? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, my car door. Like, no, nothing. Right. Yeah. But I had to remind myself, like, dude, you know what you're doing. You're just having an off day. Right. Which still happens. Yeah. And, I mean, literally, you get good enough where one objection works. Yeah. Like, I don't use a bunch of different objections. I'll say, well, the way the program works is if that fits your needs and your budget, then all I can do is just submit a request for coverage to the carrier, and then you can blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then you can think about it. And then you can talk to your spouse. And if they give me another objection, then I'll talk a little bit, and I'll say, well, the way the program works. Right. And if you just do that 3 or 4 times. Right. But then on some days, I'm like, why did I say I would call them back? What did I? What? Yeah. What was I folded on that call. Yep. And I felt it the other day, and he was like, "Well, I'm just getting some quotes and blah 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 blah." blah. I'm like, "Okay." And then, but instead of doing that, I said, "Well, the way the program works is this and that." Oh, well, that's the way the program works. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. Oh, I could just submit an application then. Well, you have to always remember that you're the professional in the situation. Right. Exactly. I don't care if you got licensed yesterday, bro. You have an insurance license. Yeah. You know more about insurance than the person you're talking to on the other line. Exactly. Yeah. And remember, they reached out to you. Like I remember the first time I dialed. I was at my house, and Sean had sent me a bunch of leads, big old batch of like used leads. Like he didn't. I mean, dude, he knew me for like a week. Like here, take some shit. Try to call him. See what happens. Right. Yeah. But dude, I was getting hammered. Now in my mind, I thought I did a lot. I probably dialed for like 20 minutes, right? But I'm getting hung up on, cussed all this stuff. So I called Sean. I'm like, dude, man, I don't know what's going on. I can't book these leads, right? Well, I knew enough not to say that, but I'm like, I don't know what I. And he goes, do me a favor, grab your leads, stack, go to the bathroom. I'm like, what's it? Look in the mirror, hold the leads up, and tell yourself that you book everyone you speak to. Tell yourself that they asked you for help and they want to meet with you. Tell yourself that. I'm like, seriously? Yeah, hang up, go do that, and then go make some more calls. Right. Now, I wasn't like, Hall of Fame producer overnight. Right. But slowly, I had to believe first. Right. I had to convince myself that I don't care when that lead was filled out, what's going on in that person's life. All I know is that they have an interest in life insurance. Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I convinced myself that they reached out to me. I'd even say, hey, I'm sitting here in my office, mind my business. You sent this form to me. Why are you calling me? Because you asked me to. Right. So anyways, you be home tomorrow? Yeah. Exactly. But it's that assumptiveness. That assumption. Yep. Yeah, that's it, man. And that's so key. And that's half of it. I mean, that's like 90% of the sale. Absolutely. Is like just assuming that
we're here because you asked me to be here.
Right.
And we're doing this because this is what you wanted.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
It's like, why that worked? And like, I was probably, but I'm like, I'm about to give you my real social because I feel like I'm supposed to, but it was just so assumptive. Right. It wasn't what you were saying, because you can take a script, give it to someone who's not assumptive. They can say everything you said verbatim, and not help anyone. Yeah, it's how you say it.
Yep, and I really think it's what you say and how you say it.
Absolutely,
because we have word tracks here that we've been tried and tested.
Sure,
from the best.
Yep,
and they're all available on these videos.
Right.
You know, so
like I love that. Here's how the program works, or we always here's what we're gonna do today.
Right.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Right.
Versus like, do you want to do this?
Yeah. Or let's see if we can get approved.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right? You know, this is us. I'm in this with you, bro.
Yep. 100%, dude. But this has been great. It's no surprise why you sell as much as you do. We say get you recruiting some more, get some more people doing the same. Yeah.
I've got to duplicate. And I can now, because Zoom rooms and everything else, I can take somebody through the whole process. So I'm getting better at that. So
absolutely.
It's good.
And you know what you're doing, so you'll be able to lead them. That's the thing, you know. And when we first started the company, we used to tell these guys, don't recruit unless you sell.
Right.
Partly because we had like 3 staff, so like we can't help them because there's not enough of us. Now we have like almost 30, so hey, by all means, call us, whatever you need. But back then we're like, yo, don't call us, and if you can't sell, Matt, do not recruit, because we don't know what to do with them, you know. Right. But man, it's been a hell of a ride, and I look forward to seeing you hit Hall of Fame again this year, and let's get you to get some agents to hit Hall of Fame under you, because that's. I mean, that's the magic about this business. Like, it's been so great for you, your family. Imagine what it can do for some people, you know, or some people out there, dude.
Yep, and I want some Hall of Fame producers on my team, too. So
there you go.
Give me a call, 818-497-4671.
There you go. Yeah, if you're watching this, you want to join Matt's team, and you're not with us. Like,
right, obviously.
Hey. Yeah, I'm with FFO. I want to work with Matt. No, don't work that way, bro. You already work with him.
If it's not working where you are, then you're obviously not working.
I mean, that's true. Like, that's one of the biggest challenges, and I think one of the best things about this business is it's on you.
Yeah.
Yes, we have an amazing system. Yes, there's plenty of people that came before you, but you have to put in the work.
That's it.
What you did, Jack helped you. I'm sure the training helped you, but you put the work ethic in. You're controlling your mindset. You're going out there doing it. Yeah.
Right.
So your success is on you, and your failure's on you.
That's it.
You know, a lot of people are like, that company. Like, bro, hold on. I was talking to Ed this morning. We have, I think it was 250 agents right now that are on track for Personal Hall of Fame this year. You know what I mean? We had the first year, Matt? 3? None. Nope. Our top guy did like 350 the first year.
Wow.
Yep.
Wait, was that in what year?
That was 2014.
Wow.
Yep,
that's incredible.
So 11 years later, we'll have we'll have more people hit the Hall of Fame this year than we had at our first annual convention. No bullshit.
Nice. That's huge.
And I still say we're just scratching the surface with the amount of, I mean, there's over 1 million, I don't know what the number is now, but I know there's over 1 million licensed agents in the country.
Right.
And we have maybe 20,000 that get paid with us in a year. That's crazy. About 4,000 a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're just scratching the surface. So you're out there. If you're getting paid, if you're getting 25% comp, come join us. If you're cold calling, come join us. You know, and if you're not closing at above 50% ratio, come join us.
Right. Exactly.
Like if you're somewhere you don't have leads, what are you doing?
Right.
You're. It's like I said earlier. It's like walking in traffic blindfolded.
Not workable.
Not at all. So anyways, thanks again, Matt.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
Guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on The Next Level. Share this with your agents. Ignite Conference is coming up real soon. Go to igniteevents.com to get registered for that, and then fflconvention.com for the annual convention next January in Dallas. That's when we'll see these 250-plus agents walk across the stage, get their red jackets, and celebrate their success. So appreciate you guys joining us. Matt, thanks for everything you do. We'll see you soon.